And this time, the press was about the stormy relationship between MacLaine and Winger. They were both nominated for Academy Awards. Shirley MacLaine won. And she said that her co-star showed, quote, turbulent brilliance. It was during the making of Terms of Endearment that Debra Winger met and started dating the governor of Nebraska, Robert Kerry. He was divorced and the father of two. She had always shielded her private life from the press, but now that became impossible. She found herself having to sneak in and out of the governor's mansion. And then last year, while most of the press was still writing that Debra Winger would soon marry Governor Kerry, she shocked everyone with the news that instead she had married actor Timothy Hutton. They had met several years before, went out on one date, and then hadn't seen each other until she emceed the Farm Aid benefit and introduced him. They were married 3 months later. It's now been a year. Debra Winger today is very married, very pregnant, and very content. In one of her rare television interviews, she spent a day with us on her favorite beach in Malibu. I found her as outspoken as expected, but also very endearing. Betty Davis said of you, she has been called very, very difficult, and that is just the beginning of success. Until you were called very, very difficult in Hollywood, you were really nobody at all.
I think that may be true because I've learned what difficult means. And being called difficult is great in a way. It keeps weak people at arm's distance. You know, if someone's afraid of difficult, they don't mess with you, and you don't have to worry about those people. It already weeds out, you know, a lot of people that you don't want to work with anyway.
What do people mean? What do directors or producers mean when they say you're difficult?
You're pretty much going to get a mind with the body, you know. It's not much of a body these days. But when someone is called difficult, it usually means that they're hardworking. And granted, make some errors in judgment. But I don't see that as a fault. I'm not afraid of being called difficult anymore.
Urban Cowboy. Was that a good experience for you?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I was spoiled. I mean, I came out of the pen thinking they'd all be like that. And it was magical. I mean, I lived it. I breathed it. I ate it. You know, I was there.
Okay, riding the bull.
It started out as a competition, fast riding, and I'm trying to make my husband jealous. And it kind of developed into this thing that I did not feel sexual when I was doing it. I felt that it was, you know, really I was showing off. And I remember when some of the reviews came out, I stayed in my house. I mean, I was just, they mortified me.
When you were doing Urban Cowboy, did you spend every night at the bar?
Oh, yeah, Gillies was great. Yeah. Well, that was especially wonderful because nobody knew who I was, so I got a job there. I mean, I was at that place all the time. And it was my introduction to mezcal. Have you ever drank mezcal? Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. They say it's like tequila, but it's hallucinogenic. It's supposed to be hallucinogenic. I'm tough, Jim. I'm a tough broad. I'll drink that stuff. And I can do the scene. And I drank a couple bottles, and I don't remember shooting the scene, but the word has it. We shot the scene, and the moment that they said, cut, that's a wrap, I went, I mean, I didn't even bend my knees completely, and they, you know, struck the set around me, and we went.
What a performance.
Yeah,
what a gifted actress.
What a gifted actress.
You do like to live your roles, my dear.
Yeah, you have to be careful when you take them.
Officer and a Gentleman, the film that I guess made you a star.
It's not so easy for a girl.
There's still no excuse if you're not going out getting what you want. Just go get it.
And who says I'm not going after what I want?
It was a film that was enormously successful. But it was a hard film for you to do, wasn't it?
You never expect to work with people who are insensitive, you know.
But what did they do that wasn't nice?
Well, you know, I mean, it's just a disrespect. It's just a lack of respect. In that case, it was mixed with some chauvinism. You know, it was just very, very rough.
Did you ever feel close to Richard Gere?
No.
No, you never really got through?
No.
How do you play love scenes with someone when you don't, I mean, I remember the scenes in that film.
So do I.
Yeah. What do you do when you don't feel anything?
Well, in that case, it was very difficult. I just chose not to hide how upset I was. And a strange thing happened in that that emotion that was actually upset ended up looking like I was involved in the scene, you know. It ended up looking like I was brimming with emotion, which I was.
But there was not that emotion. As we go on, terms of endearment, you worked with Shirley MacLaine in terms of endearment, and you've been quite frank about how you felt about it. You said you felt as if she had flesh under her fingernails.
Well, I felt that there was a competition that was uncalled for. But that can happen with someone your own age, someone older than you, someone younger than you. So I don't know where it came from because I didn't feel it, you know. I certainly admire a lot of her qualities, and I don't mean to, we just didn't get along very well.
I just don't want to fight anymore.
What do you mean? When do we fight?
When do we fight? You amaze me. I always think of us as fighting.
That's just from your end. That's because you're never satisfied with me.
She talks about the experience and says it was a bad experience. I don't. I don't think it was a bad experience. It was rough.
You were both nominated for Academy Awards. She won as Best Actress. You didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Two people can't. Well, I guess you can, but did. How did you feel about it?
Well, it's probably a cliche by now, but I know it to be true for myself deeply, that the nomination is the thing.
When Shirley MacLaine described your turbulent brilliance, was that okay with you?
You know, I don't remember the brilliant part. Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah. Of all of the films, which was the one that was the hardest for you to walk away from? Which was the one that just got to you the most?
Well, at the time, Urban Cowboy was the hardest to walk away from and drop because I'd never done it before. On that scale, I wasn't prepared for it to be over. I thought, well, it was my family. It became my life. We shot 9 months, you know, I mean, from beginning to... I was in a terrible state when it was over. I had no sense of myself. And I moved into a hotel, and Pete, my dog, slept in the bathtub because it was just a little room with a bed. And I had a very rough year. There are still those films. Terms was certainly hard to shake.
Terms of endearment.
Because that intensity, I crave that intensity.
When you were a kid, were you a very emotional kid?
Yes. Yes. I had a very, you know, potent emotional life.
Did your parents understand you?
No, I think they, you know, when I was real young, they called me Sarah Heartburn. I think I was a pain in the neck.
What we're not used to is your honesty and that intensity. On camera and off, we're all so protective. We're not used to everything that you give off.
The way that you feel about that is probably a lot the way my parents felt. And my mother was just, you know, sometimes it was, you know, lighten up. Well, you know, why? If I just ask you this, just tell you, say fine.
Yeah.
If I ask you how you feel, say fine. I mean, you know, what's the big thing? But I don't, you know, I don't see it that way.
At one point, in 1973, you were in a terrible accident.
I fell out of the back of a truck under my head.
And had a concussion.
I had a cerebral hemorrhage.
Okay. And what was the result of that?
I was in the hospital for a very long time and was paralyzed temporarily and lost my eyesight for a while.
What did it do to you?
It changed my entire life.
How?
Well, first of all, I said that I wasn't going to spend a day doing anything I didn't want to do. I was told that acting was a hobby. You don't get paid for that. So I was doing it on the side and, you know, working at the police department and sociology major. I just stopped everything. It seemed ludicrous. It could, you know, it's gone like that, this life. And I was so much more fulfilled.
After you had this experience, and when you decided that your life was going to be acting, along with that part of it, along with the acting, came this reputation of being wild, I don't know, fun-loving, drinking, you know.
Don't I seem like a blast?
Yeah, I mean, you know, where did that all go? Here I sit with this woman who's 8 months pregnant. But, you know, How much of that was it? How much was exaggeration? What were you?
I can't cry. I mean, I can't complain that, you know, I'm misunderstood and unappreciated for what I really am. So it's true. I don't deny any of it. I lived a somewhat wild lifestyle. I think more importantly, I talked about it. Not in a gossipy sense, but I didn't deny anything. If someone said, well, did you do that? I said, well, yeah, I'm not proud of it.
If I said drinking, you'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
Drugs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it fun?
No.
Why'd you do it?
I guess it seemed like fun then, but mostly I think for me, I was just testing all the boundaries, you know? And there wasn't a lot of happiness where I was. So I was always looking for where the happiness was. Where is it? As if it was somewhere else.
What were you rebelling against, you know?
It's almost mischievous. I wanted to make trouble for myself. And I did. And I don't put it all in the past.
Why don't you put it in the past?
Well, because I don't have a harsh judgment on things that I've done. In other words, I don't think of myself as a bad person, and I don't feel I have to reform. And yeah, so you know, I think I'm moving on.
How long did it take you when you met Timothy Hutton before you looked at him in the
I
eye?
knew that. I fell in love with him the moment I saw him.
Really?
And then didn't see him for a long time.
You met, and then there was a time period when you didn't. And then you met again.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And you decided right away to get married?
Yes.
How could you be so sure?
Because there was no question. What were we going to hang out to find? Everything was there. Every feeling was there. So it didn't make sense not to.
When you fall in love, it must be absolutely enormous.
It's pretty big. It feels big. It feels overwhelming sometimes. And it's very, you know, the commitment is enormous. And the emotional life that goes with that commitment. But it's great.
With all of the emotion you feel, all the intensity you have, what was the day you got married like?
It's like a fairy tale. Yeah. It was spooky. It was so happy. You know, cramps in your cheeks, and you cry, and you feel everything at once.
You are happy now,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Yeah. And I'm not scared of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not scared of being happy.
Do you have any regrets? Anything that you wish you hadn't done?
No regrets. Those will kill you. Those things. If I start to feel I should have done something different, I change how I'm looking at it, because something is wrong with the way I'm looking at it, not what I've done. Because everything I've done has got me here, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
So how could anything have been wrong? Some of it seems treacherous, like it might have been an easier way.
Yeah.
But no regrets.